Hey, what do you know? This is the Melvin Live Show, and how's everyone doing? Today, I want to talk to you about this whole idea of childhood dreams. I mean, what were your childhood dreams when you were growing up? Well, for me, when I was growing up, I remember the year was 1984, and 1984 was a very significant year to me because in 1984 was when I was 12 years old. And that was the year that I was about to take the first national exam in my primary school days. And that national exam was PSLE. Now, that year itself, what happened was I was asked to write what are my ambition, um, for when I grow up, right? So, what is it that I want to do? And so I wrote in my ambition in the essay itself, I wrote that I wanted to be an astronaut. Now, why an astronaut? Well, the idea behind that was actually because during that time, I actually watched this James Bond show. I do not know how many of you would recall that show, but the show was James Bond, and it was Roger Moore as James Bond, and that show was called Moonraker. And in the show itself, he was going into this space shuttle, and he was out there doing his James Bondy stuff, and it was just like so cool. And so from that day onwards, I wanted to be an astronaut. But I always also remember that during that time when I told my teacher, or rather, I wrote in my essay that I wanted to be an astronaut, then one day I forgot to bring my English books. And my teacher was so angry with me that she said that, and you want to be an astronaut, and you would forget your oxygen tank and you go into space and you would die. Yes, that's exactly what she said to me. So well, I didn't take it to heart at a point in time, but that memory is still really, really vivid in my mind up to this very day itself. So, um, and then later on in my days, as I progressed to secondary, I would then wanted to become a singer songwriter. And the reason why I wanted to become a singer songwriter was I've always been musically inclined, and I've always loved music. And during that point in time, actually, in 1984, that was the first time that I watched the live broadcast of the Grammy Awards. And during during that ceremony itself, I was so fascinated with the number of acts that were going up there to collect their Grammy Awards. For example, I remember that Michael Jackson was winning, Grammys left, right, center for Billie Jean, Beat It, and his album Thriller. And then of course there was this group called Police, right, led by Sting or Gordon Summers. And the song was Every Breath You Take. I'm sure those of you who have been in the same era, you would remember that 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 song itself. Every breath you take, every move you make. Wow, I just love this song. right? And so I want to become a singer songwriter, and in fact, I did went on to pen a few songs, which I will not embarrass myself here by singing them, but I actually wrote two songs for my then girlfriend, who is now my wife, right? And some days she still teases me and say that, "What happened to, your days of writing me songs? Hmm, maybe I should go back to writing them again." And then when I went to college, I met this really, really cool guy, and he was able to hack into a system which allows us to kind of record messages for one another. And so I took that we took the platform and we started our own weekly top 10 show. And so every week, he and I would write our top 10 song, our top 10 favorite song. And of course, we will count it down from number 10 to number one. And when it comes to number one itself, we will, of course, play the entire song. And, I remember very, very vividly that I called my station the 718 Express. Well, why was it 718? Well, that's another story for another time, right? So we were having a good time, really. I mean, just writing the top 10 show, and it was reminiscence of those days, and it kind of fueled my dream of wanting to become a DJ. And so I like to tell people that well, I fulfill all my childhood dreams, well, sort of, right? Um, but I did end up being an astronaut, right? There are, as of today, there are still no astronauts from Singapore. In fact, during our 1 year travel, we actually went to NASA, and my son actually managed to ask a real astronaut a question. How cool is that, right? For a 5 year old. And on top of that, he was able to ask the astronaut, like, how old must you be before you can be an astronaut? Questions like this. I mean, I was just blown away. So I never become an astronaut. I didn't become a singer songwriter, at least not professionally. Um, and I never became a DJ as well, right? Although those were all my childhood dreams, but I fulfilled them all. And what I mean by that, it's really the essence of it. If you think about the traits behind an astronaut, a singer songwriter, a DJ, what are some of the traits, right? And so if you think about the traits itself, as an astronaut, it's really someone who is an explorer, right? You're going into space, the unknown, and you're exploring things like, the Apollo mission, for example. You go into space and you go in, you land on the moon, and you kind of collect rock samples, you bring it back and you study, and you discover new things yourself. You go to somewhere that people have never been to. And if when I kind of reflect on that, I've been quite a bit of an explorer myself, because quite early on in my career itself, I actually made that pivot from an employee to a CEO to a entrepreneur. And it was really taking the road less traveled, both figuratively as well as literally. And I would, of course, go on to become a strategist, because in the way that I see things, I'm able to see things at a more holistic level, and as a result of that, I'm able to think of what are some of the strategies that you can do to kind of implement and get to your goal itself. And in fact, this has led me to go on to teach people about how to think in a strategic manner. And of course, the other thing that I kind of pride myself, of course, this year being COVID year, none of us can travel, but I've always pride myself as a traveler, because I kind of believe that as you travel, you really expand your horizon, and you're able to meet more people. You're able to meet people from different background, different culture, different belief, different lifestyle, different dietary requirements, and all that really just blew my mind. So in that 1 year travel that we did, with my family itself, it was a great time. And in the process itself, I really learned a lot about what the world is, how the world works, and that to a certain extent really challenges my assumptions about how the world works. So, I think although I did not become an astronaut per se, I've seen myself as an explorer. Now, the other thing with the singer songwriter is that I see myself as a creator, someone who loves to create. And as I create things, that's where I'm able to really express myself, right? So a singer songwriter would be writing songs and performing it, and that's the way that he or she expresses themselves, right? And for me, really, when I look at my life as a creator, I've created a ton of training programs, right? Both offline as well as online. And I've also created a ton of consulting packages and as well as videos as well, videos that I call them digital assets, right? And so, although I did not become a professional singer songwriter, I have become a creator and to be able to share my creation with the world. And finally, as a DJ, I've always, like I said, I always wanted to be a DJ. I remember my dad told me this. He said that if you want to be a DJ, you must have a good command of English. And I've always looked up to him in his ability to express himself. And, that's something that I think, I kind of, it kind of rub it off me. And so, as a DJ, it's someone who kind of broadcasts the message out, and this is where I am. I mean, I have gone on to create a total of more than 170 live stream videos here on YouTube. And if you look at episode one to, today's episode itself, you would have seen the kind of evolution that I've gone through in terms of the setting, in terms of the lighting, in terms of the audio, in terms of the video, the whole works itself. And I'm constantly looking at ways to improve myself, and at the same time to get the message out. And so, if you think you have not fulfilled your childhood dreams, whatever your childhood dreams are, think again, because as you dig deeper, you might not achieve them per se in terms of the profession that you were dreaming of, but you probably have fulfilled by way of the traits of those profession that you wanted to become. And so, how does that relate to our topic here in terms of that one person, 1 million, all digital business? I firmly believe that we all have a talent. We all have something that we are good at, right? We all have strength. And that something that we're good at, it's where you want to start. Because it starts with you, and it starts with something that you can do so well. Can it be better? Of course, it can always be better. But the point is that it starts off with something that it's natural, it's something that you do well. And so, for example, I see myself as someone who is really, really comfortable speaking in public. In a way, I could never understand or comprehend why people would say that public speaking is the number one fear for them. My number one fear is actually not public speaking. It's something else, something to do with creepy crawlies. I would not mention that, but I think, some of you out there know what it is. But my point is this, right? It's something that is natural to me, and it's something that I believe that I do it well, right? And so I'm leveraging that. I'm leveraging that strength itself. So what are your strengths, right? What are your strengths? And of course, the first step is to be able to recognize and to extract and to zoom in on what is that one thing that you're good at. And that one thing that you're good at, it is that thing that is going to be your starting point. Of course, the next part of it is to ask yourself, what problem does it solve? So the question I've been asking myself is, all this, knowledge, expertise that I have, how do I profit from it? And my answer to that is, if I'm able to codify that and I'm able to make it into a solution, right? A solution for each and every one of you who wants to start your own 1 person, 1 million or digital business. If when I'm able to codify that experience and to be able to share with you, and this is how I'm able to solve that problem. So start with what you're good at, and then of course kind of filter that down, navigate that into what problem does it solve. Well, it may come natural, it may not come natural, it doesn't matter, but the point is that you want to start looking at what is it that you're good at. So share with me, what are your childhood dreams, man? I mean, we all have our childhood dreams. What are yours, right? Share with me in the comments below, and make sure if you like this video itself, give me the thumbs up, because that's the way that it will help other people discover this video, and it has been a tremendous help for me. I have been consistently saying my views on YouTube climbing, and that's something that is really, really encouraging. And so if you can, and if you found this video to be useful, make sure you give me a thumbs up, because like I said, that helps other people discover this video. And the other thing is that if you want more content like this to help you build your 1 person, 1 million or digital business, then make sure you subscribe to this channel itself. All right. If you got a question, I'll be more than glad to answer them. And don't forget, share with me what is your childhood dreams, and let's talk about it more. All right. And with that, I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye for now.